This is Pink Pantyhose, where comedy meets feminism. I'm your host, Naya, and thank you all for listening to my podcast. You can do anything with your ears. You can clean your ears, you can pierce your ears, but the fact that you're giving me your ears to listen to my podcast, I appreciate you so much. So, today, we are talking about my amazing trip to Miami. It'll be a 3-part series because I did a lot. Stayed partying, y'all. So first, let's get into why I went to Miami. So back in 2017, I saw a comedy show with Tiffany Haddish. And my homegirl told me how you spend New Year's Eve is how you spend the year. So 2017, went to a comedy show, saw Tiffany Haddish, took myself out to eat. And all 2018, I took myself on dates. Because I was like, yo, my dating life isn't the best. Let me not just wait for a guy to take me out. If I want to go somewhere, I want to go somewhere. If I want to treat myself, I'm going to do it. So when 2018 rolled around, I was like, yo, I'm not going to freeze like I did last year. I'm spending New Year's Eve somewhere warm. And I love Tiffany Haddish. So I just researched some of her shows, and I found out she was going to be in Miami on New Year's Eve. So I was like, hello, booked the ticket through Southwest, and I booked the ticket for her show. And I was like, yo, I want to go to Miami because I love salsa dancing. And I heard that that's a big city besides New York where people salsa dance. So I was contemplating finding guys online to link up with once I got down there. Back in 2015, I also went to Florida, South Florida exactly. I had a fling with this guy, awesome Haitian dude, real good vibe. So I was like, let me meet some more guys. And then I pumped the brakes. I was like, no, Naya, this trip is about you being independent. You have an agency. You catching flights and not feelings. Like, you can just get up and go where you want and enjoy your life. So I held off on getting an online account to meet guys. And then last minute, a week before the trip, I was like, F it. Let me get a POF and let me find some guys to talk to. And I had some good conversations with people. And one guy, he was from Guyana. It's in South America. And we started talking, and then he told me he was in Fort Lauderdale. And I was flying into Fort Lauderdale because I usually only fly Southwest. And I was like, yo, you gonna pick me up? He was like, okay, I got you. Woo, woo, woo. I get to Florida in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm like, yo, can you come pick me up? Where you at? He was like, man, the police, they took my car. Woo, woo, woo. And I'm thinking, like, he's just playing games. He trying to front his move. So I was like, F it. I don't need you. I don't need any guys on this trip. This trip is about me being independent. Screw all y'all. So, being my independent self, I took public transportation from Fort Lauderdale all the way to South Miami. It almost took 2 hours because Fort Lauderdale is north of Miami, and then Miami is separate from South Beach, which is not the mainland of Miami. So I took a shuttle bus to the train to downtown, and then took a bus from downtown to South Beach. And I loved it, y'all, especially the bus from downtown to South Beach. It was just so much beautiful water, seeing people walk around, the palm trees, the shops. I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Soon as I got off the bus, there was this old white man. He asked where I lived. And I was like, oh, I'm staying over here, such and such place. And he was like, oh, do you need someplace to stay? I wasn't sure if he was alluding to me staying at his crib in his bed for his personal reasons, or if he was trying to hustle and try to sell a room to me. I didn't know. I just ignored it. I was going to say something, but I was like, nah, I'm good. Anyway, so I go to the hostel. I ended up staying in the hostel because my Airbnb canceled the night before. But I love the hostel. It's a great way to meet people. But don't go to a hostel if you're trying to get it in, because they got bunk beds. And the hostel I stayed at, it was strict. It was like, we going to kick you out if you get caught having sex. Anyways, I get into the hostel, and I'm super friendly because I'm like, I want to meet people. So I run into this British guy, and we start talking a bit. And then after a few minutes of conversation, he's like, yo, I want to have sex with you. And he was making jokes and alluding to his sexual desires for me. I'm like, honey, you too petite for me. You too slender. You ain't the move I'm trying to make. But anyways, I see people's toenails and they look great. I was like, yo, I need to go to the shop. I need to get my nails done. I can't be out here. So I went to a nail shop in South Beach, and I was asking the nail technicians, hey, where can I go for salsa dancing? Because they were all Cuban. They were like ball and chain. El Patio or the patio. And we're going to talk about the patio at a later date. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Ball and Chain tonight. So I go get ready. I go to Little Havana, a.k.a. Little Cuba, where all the Cubans are, for a good time. And I go into Ball and Chain, and it seemed kind of whack at first. I'm just listening to the music, and I'm dancing with this older guy, and we just two-stepping and talking. And I thought he was going to hit on me, but he didn't shoot his shot. I go to the back. That's where all the action is, where the real salseros are dancing. It was kind of weird because some people were coupled up. I was trying to hit on this one dilf. Oh, my gosh. He was handsome. But after a while, I realized he was talking to his lady. I was like, you know what? Never mind. As I'm dancing with people, because I dance with everyone when I go dancing, there's this bodyguard who he mouths the words, something to get my attention, basically saying he liked me. I was like, okay, whatever. So I'm dancing. The whole night I'm going back and forth from the front to the back to the bathroom, and I'm looking for him. And as I'm looking for him, I keep locking eyes with another bodyguard with pretty eyes, like he had blue or green eyes. So finally, after dancing for a bit, I run into the first guy. We'll call him Dallas because he's from Dallas. He's actually Salvadorian, but I think he's more Americanized. And he had gold teeth in his mouth, real ratchetino. And we talked. He's like, yo, you beautiful. Woo, woo, woo. I was like, oh, okay. Hi. And I was like, yeah, I'm here for vacation. Woo, woo, woo. He was like, oh, yeah, that's what's up. And I told him I want to go to a black strip club. He was like, oh, yeah, we could definitely do that. You know, we can go to this club, that club. Take my number down. Let's link up. Woo, woo, woo. I was like, okay. So I get his number, and I'm walking around dancing. And I keep locking eyes with the pretty eye guy. So I was like, yo, why not get some more numbers tonight? So I go up to him, and we start talking. He tells me he's Cuban. And I was like, why you keep looking at me? He was like, no, I'm not following you. I promise. And I find out he lived in Chicago at one point in time. And then I told him, yo, I'm looking for a tour guide. I'm here on vacation. Show me around. He was like, cool. And I took his number down on the low because he could have gotten in trouble. And we're going to call him Cuban Poppy because when we were texting later that night, he was like, yo, call me Cuban Poppy. Whatever. I love the confidence. Anyways, as I'm dancing, I run into this older man wearing a blue suit. We'll call him Blue. And he said he was the owner. He was dancing with me. And he was like, yo, I love when a woman can dance. It shows what she can do in the bed. I was just like, yo, it's not that type of trip. I know I'm on vacation, but I'm not trying to get my toes tickled. And then he was just too sexually forward with me. He was trying to kiss on my ear, press up against me. And I'm just like, nah, babe, you got to earn that. He was like, man, I had to buy my ex a house. I was like, exactly. You got to earn this. And I'm thinking in my head, I wasn't impressed by him being the owner. Because in my head, I'm just thinking, oh, you do this with every young, good-looking woman. You probably going to bed with so many people, hitting on everybody. I'm just one in a million. I don't need this. Keep your game. Later that night, Cuban Poppy, the one with the pretty eyes, we start texting. I'm surprised he texted me. He just got off work. I started talking to him, and I was telling him about the Moreno, the one in the blue, how he offended me because he was so sexually forward. He was like, yo, you speak Spanish? And I was like, yeah, I learned in high school. And then he was correcting my Spanish, which was okay and all. But then when I tell people high school, I said alto superior. And he was like, oh, that's Mexican slang. Okay, calm down. Don't make fun of Mexicans. Those are my homies. I was with them shooting in the gym. Actually in Mexico. Shoot. But anyways, so we just texted. He was like, yeah, you're so pretty. Woo, woo, woo. Let me take you out to breakfast tomorrow. And I'm thinking, no, because the hostel I'm staying at, they provided free breakfast. Side note, that breakfast was trash. It was just toast, cereal, milk, orange juice, and coffee. I was like, let's do lunch, because I didn't tell him this, but I was like, I already got breakfast. He was like, okay, let's do that. The next morning rolls around, and I hear nothing from him. And I'm on the bus in a train going to the zoo, because it was super far. It was almost 2 hours on public transit, because I was trying to save my money with Ubers. And I'm tearing up on the bus. And I was like, man, God, every time I take one step forward, it feels like I get 3 steps backwards when it comes to dating guys. Like, why can't I just find a nice, good-looking guy to show interest in me and not be flaky? Later on in the afternoon, it's like 12, 1 o'clock, Cuban Poppy messages me like, hey, what's up? My bad, I fell asleep. And I was teasing him a bit, and I was saying, how you gonna wake up at this time? But you was the same person who was trying to have breakfast at 8 a.m. He's laughing and we talking a bit. And then I invited him to go to the zoo, but he didn't want to go. I was trying to get him to pay because the ticket was $22. Dang. But it was a good zoo. It was a good time. After I realized he wasn't coming to the zoo, I just left it alone. Like, I need to save my battery. So I'm walking around the zoo, and I'm just getting teary-eyed because I see all the couples, and they're just, it was just, And it wasn't bad going to Miami by myself. It was just would have been nice to have a boo thing to go with. But anyways, as I was on my trip to the zoo, tell me why at least 7 guys tried to hit on me when I was waiting for the bus in South Beach. And then when I got off the bus, because there was a bus that took me from South Beach to downtown, the bus driver gives me his number. And then when I'm trying to put money on my card to get on the train, one of the janitors is hitting on me. When I get on the train, there's this chocolate fine guy, because I love chocolate black men. Ooh, yes. And I'm staring at him. I realized Miami showed me that I have a huge staring problem, y'all. Like, ooh. But anyways, the guy, he started cursing. He was like, damn, you fine, or something. Like, he said the F word. And we talking for a bit because I had to wait for the bus. I had nothing better to do. And he was like, you single? You ain't got kids? You got a job? Oh, my gosh. He was from the hood. He was like, man, why is that? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, you can send an Uber for me because I did not want to wait for that bus. He was like, man, I don't even know how to use an Uber and Lyft. And I was like, baby, we from 2 different worlds. And at one point, sex came up. And he was like, man, I effed the brakes off you. He literally said this out his mouth in front of me. And at that point, I just ended the conversation. What blew me was the fact that he was surprised that his statement offended me. Like, sir, what is wrong with you? But anyways, I walk off. I go to Burger King because I'm famished. These cooks are hollering at me from the restaurant like, hey, chocolate, hey, beautiful, woo, woo, woo. And I just ignore them. So I'm like, this ain't that type of vacation. You ain't got nothing I want. Like, guys are just trouble. When I walk back, they still trying to holler at me. Like, y'all didn't get the first time. I was just dead quiet. Then when I get on a bus to go to the zoo, there's this old man sitting across from me who I was kind of staring at. Because I'm just, I'm fiending. I want some male attention. And then when he gets off the bus, he's like, you're so beautiful. I want to say something, but it's going to offend you. I guess he was just like effing in his head. And he said, man, I wish I could have you for lunch. Oh, it was so awkward. I was just like, baby, you on the bus. You ain't got nothing for me. But anyways, after I do the zoo thing, I come back on the train and I go to Little Havana. Because I was like, yo, I'm in Miami. I need some Cuban food. There's not that many Cuban restaurants in Chicago. So I'm walking down the 8th Street, Calle Ocho. Tell me why I walk past Ball and Chain. And guess who's at the door? Cuban Poppy and Dallas. Awkward, but I try not to show it on my face. So Cuban Poppy was like, yo, you just gonna walk past me? And I walked past him because you at work, you busy, you trying to get your bread. I'm just enjoying my night. So Dallas starts talking to me because Cuban Poppy's kind of busy and I'm trying to manage my energy with them. And Dallas was joking with him. They was like play fighting over me like, oh, I'm gonna talk to her, woo woo, you stay away, woo woo woo. And then Dallas and he was like, yo, what you doing tonight? I was like, yo, I'm trying to get to a strip club. He was like, bet, hit me up after work. So I text him. And then I was trying to talk to Cuban Poppy, but he was busy with cards, checking IDs. So Dallas and I just start laughing. I just walk off. And at that moment, I was like, Cuban Poppy, he look gay. Like, he too feminine for me. But anyway, so after I get something to eat, I buy some cigars for my family members. I take an Uber to South Beach, get ready. I walk down, what's it called? Ocean Drive? I cannot remember. I think it's Ocean Drive, the main strip on South Beach. And then I go to a strip club. I take a lift there. And I'm texting Dallas the whole time, like, yo, where should I go? Where should I go? And he was like, oh, you can go here, there. He was like, yo, let's meet up after work, and we can go this place. It's open 24/7. And then I had a feeling he was on games because he was like, yo, you know it's $30, right? And I'm in a mindset of, this is vacation. This is Miami. You only gonna spend money here, so it was nothing. And hey, it's for a good cause. And I was like, that's fine. And then at one point he was like, yo, I don't want to go to the strip club anymore. I just want to smoke. Can I smoke you out? I'm like, I don't know about that. And then at one point he was like, yo, if we link up tonight, I'm going to want some privacy. Because I told him I live in a hostel. I can't have company. I sure can't have sex there. Like, I'm not trying to get kicked out because it's not refundable. Like, the money I pay, I can't get it back. And then I was like, yo, thank you for being 100, but if you just want sex, then we can stop talking. I'm not a tease. I'm not trying to lead you on. He was like, no, my bad. So he was like, yes or no to smoking. I'm like, nah, I'm good on that. I came all the way from Chicago not to chill in some nigga house who I don't even know and smoke some weed. Like, I could do that back at home. So that night it was lame. Went to the strip club and it was G5 and there was just ass shaking. It wasn't stripping, like pole dancing, because I found out King of Diamonds closed down and I was trying to have fun because I spent $40 to get in and I was trying to have a good time, but it just wasn't entertaining. At one point I got up on stage because someone invited me because I was tipping her. I didn't want to be cheap. And then she was pulling up my dress, sucking on my nipple, dancing on me. I was like, oh my gosh, you wild, girl. But I left and I was just like, yo, let me call it a night. This is not the move. And then the next day, I text Dallas like, yo, I'm going to be in Little Haiti. I'm going to be in the area. Let's link up. Because I didn't mind smoking with him or even having sex with him during the day. I just wasn't trying to do it at night and be on games. But he didn't text me back. So, womp womp. But yeah, so that's the first part of my 3-part series of my trip to Miami. If you want more, you gotta listen to the next 2 episodes of Pink Pantyhose, where comedy meets feminism. Thank you all so much for listening to my podcast. Love y'all. Bye.